Listen, Jay, much like Jonathan Taylor, there were a lot of performance this week that was just like 1 week too late.
Yes.
And I think perhaps there's no one better for this show than the Chubler.
The
Chubler.
The Panthers stack.
Yeah, a week after Chubby Magic went down.
Yes.
The Chubler.
Yes.
Career game.
The Chubler. Yeah. Where was 2006 LaDainian Tomlinson last week? This is garbage. Chubby Magic. Oh, no. They've actually put it in the graphic. That's very depressing.
That's a great headline.
The Chubler, 25 for 152,
Chubby
two
Magic.
touchdowns, adds 4 for 13 receiving games, scores the walk-off game-winning touchdown.
Unbelievable.
Even Adam Thielen scored a touchdown. Just the real twisting, the chubby knife into my...
People laughed at the Panthers.
Into my once happily chubby body.
Yeah.
Now just gaunt and defeated.
Listen, the Chublers had at least a 15% target share in 5 of his past 6 games. He's a true 3-down back. They're using him in all aspects of the offense, and it's his second game this year with over 150 yards.
Great.
Here's the list of running backs that have more. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. That's it. That's the entire list. Like, you wouldn't expect to have a franchise running back, like a fantasy superstar in Carolina, and it's not Jonathan Brooks, but you're damn right. It's the Chubler. You're just a week too early.
I have all these different pieces of my team that if you just timed it a little bit better, I'd be on the way to a chubby championship. Alas, I had McCaffrey, I had J.K. Dobbins, Cooper Kupp, I had Mayfield and Donald on my team at a time, all injured or bad times. Just choked. A chubby choke.
What are you going to do? It was an unbelievable performance for Hubbard. He's running back, too, as we head into Monday Night Football. They play the Buccaneers next week. But good for Bryce Young, by the way, who's who's QB2. Like, that might be the even bigger surprise. Like, Hubbard's been fantasy productive all year long, obviously when it counted the most for all of us, not you, Jay. You were already out of the playoffs at this point. But this was impressive, right?
This is full Alabama Bryce Young.
Yeah, this is exactly right. In the 5 games since its week 11 bye, he's averaging 18.4 fantasy points per game. Again, he 27 points yesterday. He's the number 2 quarterback. I don't know that you want to trust him next week against Tampa Bay, although I will say, like, that's not a matchup that scares you. And if you're sitting there in a deep league where, you're missing Jalen Hurts, like, I'd rather Bryce Young next week than Kenny Pickett.
Right.
Like, if Hurts were to miss. Anyway, but Young is going to be...
I'd rather a slap to the face than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, well, you and the grape slappers, fair enough. But Adam Thielen has another good game here, 4th straight game with at least a 25% target share. But I think what's exciting is that, again, Bryce Young has played well enough to elevate this offense that if you're investing in Adam Thielen, if you're investing in Chuba Hubbard, then, and we'll see if they get Xavier Legette back next week, or even, Jalen Coker does something. He's didn't do much this game, but it's positive. You feel confident about starting a Panther thanks to the improved play of Bryce Young.
On the other side of this, the Cardinals season ends in disappointment. Once looked like a pretty magical playoff chance here for a team that people had low expectations of. Just a kind of blah day, Jay, for Kyler Murray in the offense. James Conner getting hurt, leaving with a knee injury after such a great start to this game was kind of the dagger, though. And he's the heart and soul of this offense right now, not the pass game.
Yeah, and he was awesome before he went down, goes 5 for 117 and a touchdown. Kyler was, it's kind of reversal of previous games where Kyler was fantasy-wise, he goes 8 for 63 and a touchdown on the ground. He throws for a touchdown through the air, but real-life-wise...
Over 20 fantasy points, salvaging a little bit of
Top
my
15
ride or die.
quarterback right now.
Yeah, it's still not a great ride or die season.
Do you think this is a long-term issue with Marvin Harrison Jr., who again just does nothing?
I think it's a Kyler issue. Why does Trey McBride not score touchdowns? Why is now, to be fair, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a couple jump balls yesterday that you'd like to see a player of his caliber come down with. But Kyler, there's no structure of an offense with Kyler when he's just drifting out and throwing the ball up in the air. And
the thing is, this is very reductive, but just watching the game yesterday, it's a huge problem that he's 5'10". Like, he just can't see over the defense and he can't get these throws over guys. Like, he hasn't... That has manifested itself a lot in the past 4 weeks, I think.
I disagree. Bryce Young is 5'10". I mean, you know what I mean? Drew Brees is 5'10". Like, I don't think he's been productive in the NFL. Like, at one point under Cliff Kingsbury, we talked about this. Like, they were the number 1 team in the NFC. Like, I think their offensive line is bad, and I think that the league has caught up with this offense. I think that, Drew Petzing is not a guy that has a big resume in the NFL. I think there were questions about him as an offense coordinator. And then I think that I wonder if they'll make changes this offseason as well. But Marvin Harrison Jr. under 9 fantasy points in 4 of the past 5 games. Like he just, the lack of development of Marvin Harrison Jr. this year is really striking, and I think the offensive line has played poorly as well. I wouldn't mind seeing a different offense coordinator next year.
They came into this game with a couple injuries on the line.
Yeah.
It's, at the end of the day, it's got to get better.
I still think, despite being 5 down, Kyler Murray's still a good NFL quarterback. It just hurts your ceiling a little bit, and you need to be able to devise an offense that can account for that. And they've fallen apart the past month.
It's super crazy, but I bet you he's going to wind up this year with one of his worst fantasy seasons in his career, which is like an emerging Trey McBride. They add Marvin Harrison Jr. Michael Wilson is emerging and having some nice moments. Like he's got the most talent around him, I would argue. Connor's having a good year. Like it's a weird one. Super weird, and definitely bad call by me on ride or die. Just did not work out.
I'll give you this benefit. I think we expected, and the world expected, look at their win total, the Cardinals' defense to be bottom 3 in the league. And they have random weeks where they are feisty and plucky, and they don't put Arizona in this, okay, Kyler's going to drop back 25 times in the second. Like Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams' fantasy production is a product of mostly, at times, obviously his abilities, but they're losing by a lot, and they're going to throw the ball, or at least drop back a lot in the second half. Arizona doesn't always have to play that way, and I think that's a surprise this year. I
think the biggest thing on Petzig's offense, we can move off this game, is just like they just don't use Kyler as a runner. Like he ran for a touchdown, and he did in this one. Scripted runs. Like, you know what I mean? Like some of them, he'll make plays with his legs, but just like you designed runs the way that they do for Lamar or Jaden or Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, or like pick your mobile quarterback, and you've got Kyler Murray, who's as fast as any quarterback in the NFL, and they just don't do it on a consistent basis, and it drives me bananas. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.